You are listening to All Burgundy and Go Everything Commanders pregame show powered by the Urban Sports Scene and Fox Sports Radio 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. Hopewell, Virginia. The Washington Commanders are in ATL, getting ready to take on the Falcons. I'm also in the building at ATL as well, trying to get myself situated. Game time is at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm Wole, and I'm joined by my co-host Glenn and guest co-host George. What's going on, fellas?
Nothing much, man. Excited about another week of Commanders football. Been 10 days, and let's see if this team can not stink up the place today.
I know, right? Represent. You know what I'm saying? I'm seeing folks here from the DMV in Atlanta, like they here hype. They try to have a good time. Give them something to go home happy about. That's all I'm saying.
It's good to be with both of you. I'm starting to feel like we got to break this Desmond Ridder streak stuff. I'm hearing way too much about it.
Yeah, I know, me too. Yeah,
time to do something about that.
Yeah, we heard about that actually on our podcast show that we had Locked on Falcons host Aaron, and Aaron was like, he was talking about this Ridder undefeated home thing. I was like, it's cool, it's nice, I get it, but still, it's about to be every good thing needs to come to an end sometimes. And this is one of them. But real quick, let's get into the particulars. Hey, subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Just search All Burgundy and Go Everything. Also tweet us at ABG_everything. Hit us up on IG at ABG_everything. And like our All Burgundy and Go Everything Facebook page. Hey, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to our All Burgundy and Go YouTube channel as well. If you're on Facebook, like it, please. You know what I'm saying? We growing big time. All right, here's our rundown. We'll get some updates live from Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Then we'll debate whether this is a must-win game for the Commanders. We'll also debate on what unit we want to start the game, the offense or defense. We'll also talk about the keys for a Commanders victory. And then finally, we'll just give y'all something cool. So we'll select our Commanders fantasy football player for the day. But right now, live from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, we got Bowie TV president and Seawall Sports and Entertainment's Commanders reporter, Candy Waller, on. What's going on, Candy?
Hey, you all, making sure you guys can hear me.
Yep.
Oh, we can hear you. You're perfectly fine.
Okay, all right, cool.
I think you said Bobby Brown. They got a Bobby Brown performance out there?
Yes. So he came in, he was doing sound check, and it was kind of funny. General Manager Martin Mayhew, I'm sitting right in front of him, so I got to act like I got some sense today. I was like, that sure does sound like Bobby Brown. And he said, it does, doesn't it? And I said, wait a minute. And then it came up on the screen. I said, that is Bobby Brown. Oh my gosh. So this is the 80s game.
Okay.
It's kind of old school R&B, hip hop. So this is going to be nice.
That's dope.
Music perspective. Let's just hope,
Well,
hope the Skins can go back to their team in the 80s.
I know that's right.
Plenty of Commanders fans here, so that would be a plus if the team could get a win in front on the road in front of so many fans. That would be a real delight, honestly.
You said there's plenty of Commander fans. How would you say the percentages so far? Like,
I mean, well, they're not in the stadium yet, but
around though, yeah.
Around it, I mean, I've had people say it feels like a home game. Rare to hear that on the road ever. To say that a road game and away game feels like a home game. I mean, all of my colleagues and Wole, I'm sure you probably experienced it's Commanders fans on every flight. And even last night, coming into the hotel where I stayed, I mean, as late as 8, 9 o'clock last night, Commanders coming in. So we'll see.
If it's a game in the South, Burgundy and Gold are going to show up. Jacksonville, Tampa, Carolina.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because people don't really understand the history behind that, because it was before a long time. The Commanders was really one of the only teams from when you go from Pittsburgh, after you leave Pittsburgh on down, it was just the Commanders. So that's why you have so many Commander fans down at I-95, 895 corridor.
Yeah, people have gotten on planes, trains, and automobiles to get here this weekend. So it's a great.
I'm definitely with it. You can see it here, like they're everywhere. There's DMV functions here, man. Like, and it's well received. You know what I'm saying? Like the attendance is amazing. So this is something else. You know what I mean? This is definitely something else. But yeah, so in terms of you there in the building, in terms of the active list, like anything special, anything standing out?
Nothing. I mean, everything is kind of business as usual from an inactive active perspective. We know that this week, the Commanders announced injuries, to Jeremy Reeves and Derek Forrest. So expect to see Percy Butler, a lot of Percy Butler and Quan Martin in that regard. I'm trying to think if it was anything in terms of Effie Obata is now active. He is now activated from the injured reserve list, so that adds to some more depth on the defensive line and on that front. But other than that, it's kind of business as usual. Let's see what happens. People have some nicks here and there. And I think that break from Thursday night to Sunday has helped out folks for sure. And we've heard that from the team. Certain players that we talked to last week. I know I specifically spoke with Logan Thomas and Sam Cosme, and they said those few days off certainly helped.
So you mentioned about it, like how big of a obviously how big is it for him to come back on the squad, like for this defense?
I think it's a huge thing, from a depth perspective. All positions, all potentially healthy bodies helps. So, having that additional individual there, he's still been very active with the team and walking film sessions, all of that. So they don't expect necessarily for him to have missed a beat because he's still there. While not on the field, he's still been actively engaged with what the team is doing overall and with his teammates as well.
That's good. I think it's good to have him back on. So in terms of, we talked about what happened Thursday night, right? Last Thursday. Do you think this team is motivated and ready to give fans and the people listening to this show right now, something good for today? Excuse me.
I mean, that's what they said. I mean, I can only really speak on. I was speaking from the energy from all of the players that the media spoke to overall. But in my direct conversations with Logan Thomas and Sam Cosme, they are ready. Logan Thomas absolutely told me a lot of it isn't so much of other teams beating them, much rather it's been them beating themselves. Mistakes that they know they don't make in practice, but they make them on game day, and then that's why they're losing. So they have to get their act together. I asked him about the things that they talked about, and he said, well, at this point, Candy, nothing needs to be said. They know they need to play better individually and collectively as the units and as a team. So they understand what this means. They understand that this is a must-win. Going four-game losing streak is not at all what anybody wants. So I think they're going to bring their A game. It's a lot. I heard mentioning earlier about the whole, storyline of Desmond Ridder hasn't lost at home. Back to his college days as a Cincinnati Bearcat, he hasn't lost at home. So he's got a home game. The energy is here, but there's a lot of DMV fans here as well. So this is going to be an interesting day. And my full expectation is that the Commanders come out fast and ready to punch some Falcons in the mouth for sure, because they know what they're up against if they go on a 4-game losing streak.
My man Mark Morris said, "I don't know what to expect today. I hope we win. We are so inconsistent." I totally agree, my man. I totally agree. So a lot of folks have been talking about, the defensive coordinator. I'm one of them. You know what I'm saying? But do you in terms of, I know, right? In terms of any change within this defensive scheme, do you expect us to see some type of change rather than what we are accustomed to seeing in terms of basic formations or whatever? Are we going to see something different?
I would sincerely hope that what we all see is a defense that is not passive. They need to be who they are on paper. I think it's just point blank, period. They need to start out there. They need to be aggressive. Be the aggressor. Don't let the offense come to you. I'm talking about from the defensive side of the ball. Don't let the offense come to me. Don't give them an opportunity to have any level of confidence, because that's what's been happening here. That's exactly what happened on Thursday, and I see this now with Charles Leno. I haven't had my phone. I've been running around Mercedes. So that'll be interesting to understand a little bit more about why that is happening when I get down to the field. But they need to be the aggressor. The Commanders needs to be the aggressor. Don't wait to see what they're going to do and then figure it out as you go along. They need to be able to show that they've watched film, that they have studied Desmond Ridder. A lot of people have been ragging on Desmond Ridder a lot, but let's be for real. The Falcons have a better record than the Commanders right now.
Yeah, so I agree.
Commanders should not be ragging on anybody. Or anybody ragging on the Falcons team when the team has a better record than what you have. They're doing something that's keeping them higher on the win column than the loss column right now, right? So look to them to be the aggressor. If not, they could absolutely be in trouble. The Falcons made some moves this week, picking up wide receiver Van Jefferson, and just making some other moves on the offense and the defense, releasing some folks, elevating some folks from their practice squad. I think that needs to be noted. That not necessarily am I saying that they're equipped to go on a playoff hunt or a Super Bowl hunt, but what I am going to say is they've made moves just in the last week to get better. I think that's saying a lot about the organization.
Yeah, because the NFC South is wide open.
Yes,
and I think that is why everybody's making moves and jockeying for positions. You have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you have the New Orleans Saints. Even though Carolina hasn't won anything yet, they still in contention right now because we know the NFC South is not that
it's
great.
It's trash. That's why. Be nice. Don't be nice to that. It's trash.
It's not gonna be nice.
I know it's Sunday, but you don't gotta be that nice. It's trash.
NFC South is trash. So Atlanta's positioning themselves to make a move, and Washington got to be mindful of that.
Yeah, I think it's big, and it's a big game too, in my opinion, because Glenn, we talk about this, all the time. It's an NFC game, and if you really want to be in that picture, that playoff picture, all these NFC games are important, especially the way you're playing. Like you're playing like you're middle of the road, right? So if this is going to be a theme in terms of what we've seen with Coach Rivera teams over the last few seasons, that this is an important game because it's an NFC game.
I got a question about Obata because you brought that up, Candy. Him being back in the rotation, they're going to have more depth at defensive end. Are we going to see a lot more rotating through with pass rushers and maybe fresher pass rushers in the fourth quarter as a result?
Oh, did you that, Candy?
What was that? I'm sorry. So I'm getting the message now, and I think Cameron Mingo put it in the chat. Charles Leno's youngest daughter did in fact pass away. Oh. And that is why
he passed away
today. Charles Leno's youngest daughter.
Oh man!
Sorry to hear that.
Prayers to him and his family. Jeez, Louise.
And in his Trent Scott will be the
that's tough.
wing tackle.
Oh, prayers out for real. I mean, a lot of people prayers out. A lot of people, prayers out.
Trent Scott is active today. Cornelius Lucas is the
starter.
Oh, absolute prayers to the
prayers out.
Yeah.
For real.
It's the worst feeling in the world.
Oh, geez, that hurts. That hurts my soul. Jeez.
Sure, that's what's on the street, but I'm not. You know what I mean? That's not what.
Oh, that's what it is. Well, that hurts. That hurts. Prayers out, man. I don't wish that on anybody. Oh God, I don't wish that on anybody.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard to segue from that. It's hard. Let me be professional.
Can I ask my FA Obata question again to Candy because she missed?
Yeah, please.
Or if Wole, because I can hear you the loudest, Wole.
You gave me the loudest.
Yeah.
Okay, so George, can you repeat?
Yes, absolutely. Candy, you mentioned FA Obata being active.
Like you said, Obata.
And my question is, will we see a lot more rotating of the defensive ends and the pass rushers, and maybe the pass rushers will be fresher in the fourth quarter, and that could make a big difference for Washington?
Absolutely. But here's the other thing with that, George. At times, in critical moments, I don't know if you've all noticed, sometimes some of our defensive line on the sideline, right, to allow for that rotation. You might have to see today because they're in such even though that's going to allow for the depth and the rotations to be there, I'm hoping Jack Del Rio, it's less of let me give my guys a break, let me give them a breather. Helps too when they don't have to be on the field so much. So if they're doing what they need to do and getting the ball back to the offense, then they don't have to have so many rotations, right? They can keep their starters out there because they're doing what they need to do to get the ball back. I hope that answers your question, George.
Yeah, no, that does. That's great. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, so I can't ask you this question and fill out the blank. Washington wins if?
Washington wins if the defense plays what their financial capital indicates how they play.
Respect. No, I agree. I totally agree. Well, Candy, thanks for being on. Before we let you go, is there anything you want to add? You want to plug whatever? The floor is yours.
No, the only thing I want to add is shout out to the Commanders fans, man. Y'all really shout out to all the Commanders fans that traveled down here. Shout out to everybody that's watching from home, and hopefully that energy really helps and supports the team, especially as they're going through what they're going through with their teammate. Everything overall, the team can. This is a must-win game for this team. So let's hope that the energy that the fans have brought on the road helps to keep. We didn't see it in the last game, in a sellout game, but hopefully it connects for this team today, offensively and defensively, as well as special teams. Joey Slagger's field goals.
Yeah, that kick last week was, I don't know what that was.
You know what?
It was a bad sign. I'm gonna just be honest, and then I am gonna go. It was a bad sign during pregame because he kicked the field goal and it almost hit Donna and I, and we were not behind the net. And then when he kicked that, we were way on the side, and I said, "Wait, that almost hit us. That's not a good sign."
Yeah. All right. Well, Glenn, you wanted to say something before we let Candy go, right?
Yeah, man. That slide kick made a big difference. It brought it down to 7 points instead of 10. And key points in the game. But I think I told you guys earlier, I don't believe in slide. But it's all good.
I thought I did. I did initially, but now I don't anymore. So it is what it is. All right, well, Candy, thank you so much.
See you all.
See you. Thanks, Candy. Well, man, yeah. Well, we're gonna truck on. Hey, again, prayers out to Charles Leno. That's whatever. That's tough. That's a tough one. All right, so I'm gonna ask y'all the same question I asked Candy for you, Glenn. I'm start with you. George, I'm start with you. After what we saw last week, man, with the Bears, do you feel like, and a lot of folks thought the Bears game was a must-win. Do you think this game is a true must-win, George?
If they're gonna have any kind of a successful season, absolutely. You can't lose this game. You know, we were looking at this stretch of games saying, starting with Chicago, saying 4-1 is within reach here. You lose this game, that's out the window. You get the Giants coming to town next week, and the Giants were one of the only teams they've had consistent success against the last 3-4 years. And then, of course, it's the Eagles after that here in Washington, where we don't play them well for whatever reason. Yeah, they got to win this game. They also got to win this game because it's going to become a real narrative in the nation, in the local media, nationwide media. You lose to the Bears in the way they did, you embarrass yourself like that, and then you go and lose another game, 4 in a row, 4 losses in a row. I mean, that's trouble because everybody keeps saying, oh, they're going to have their Mickey Mouse win streak. The bad losses can snowball an avalanche on you just as much as it can snowball an avalanche when you're playing well and you've got momentum. They got to win today. They absolutely have to. Hey,
Glenn, is this a must-win game?
Yeah, it's a must-win game. Just as you mentioned earlier, to stay within contention in the middle of the pack for the NFC, it is a must-win game for the Commanders. Also, it's a must-win game for this coaching staff, right?
That's what I'm saying. I like that.
You know, coaching staff is a must-win, and everybody except for Eric Bieniemy. I'm gonna say Eric Bieniemy.
I agree.
He has done what he said he would come do here in Washington. They have put up a lot of points. They have put up yards. Somehow look good. The defense is the reason that this team is not winning football games. Let's be honest. It's not the offense. The offense is putting up enough points to win. It is the defense not stopping people to win football games. So if this defense was a top 10 defense, I'm going to use what we'll say all the time. If this defense was a top 10 defense, this Washington Commanders team will probably only have like one loss, really. Right? I agree. So if this team would live up to, as Candy said, they will live up to their pay grade or what they're getting paid. And what they want to get paid, they need to come out and perform tonight. Today, I think with all the fans in Atlanta, it's going to feel like a home game to them. And I think this Commanders team needs to win. The win has to be it. This is a must win for everybody. Again, if Ron Rivera wants to stay face. His organization wants to stay face. If he doesn't want Magic and Josh Harris to start making changes immediately, they need to win this game to go on this stretch. And next week's game, we'll get to it, is also a must-win game as well. Yeah. But just for this week, it's a must-win.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a must-win game, but I actually think it's a must-win game for Jack Del Rio. I'm not trying to like beat up person who always talk about defensive coordinator, but I feel like Glenn, like you said, Glenn, I have trust in EB. I feel that EB, compared to what we've done in the past, if you can just be the defense that we've seen at the end of last season with what EB has done, like this team is scoring 20, 30 points. You know what I'm saying? Like they can score. You know this team can score 20, 24 to 30. So to me, looking at this situation, I'm like, this team is capable of winning games completely. But if you can't stop anybody, then the offense is going to suffer a little bit, like we saw last week, right? So I just feel like the pressure's on Del Rio. Like Del Rio got to have an adequate defense. If his defense is adequate, like this, to me, this team is one of them teams that we talk about. Hey, they turned the table. Like they're that type of team. You can't give up 30. Like if you told me initially before the season started, the Wash should be 2-3. Their offense has scored 30 points in 2 out of 5 games. I would tell you, like, okay, like this team should be over 500. You know what I mean? A couple games over 500. If you had told me this going into the season, but no one expected this team to be giving up 30 points like it's free money. Like, and anybody can get this 30. It's like Oprah. You get a car. You get 30. You get 30. You get 30. This is what Del Rio's throwing out. You know, he's throwing that out there. So to me, if they lose this game, it won't be because, in my opinion, it won't be because of EB and the offense. It will not be because of that. It will be because of that defense. And all these losses have not been because other than the Buffalo game, right? And that was just like we talked about, George. That's just that is a Super Bowl contending team. That's a different level team. It is what it is. Like I'm not going to even sugarcoat it. I thought this team was better off, but they're two different levels in football. And Washington ain't on that level. Mm-hmm. But everybody else, like the games they played, it's been on the defense. And even some of the victories has been on the defense, right? So if this defense just shows up, just acts to me, if they show up and act like the defense we've seen in, like, again, after last season, I think Del Rio's gonna be fine. But if they do another 30, dog, nobody's safe. This ain't, you're not under you're not under last year's regime or last year's black cloud. Like, you're not under that. You know what I mean? To a point where they knew last year they were safe. Even with all what's going on last year, they knew they were safe because they knew that owner was worried about other things and not their jobs. You know what I'm saying? This is a new group. Like, it is what it is. Like, they can be like, hey, ticket sales are important. Like, we trying to bring back the fan base. We can't have this product. Nah, you gotta change something. So and then they may not change the coach. I feel like the coach gonna be like, all right, well, to save myself, hey, Jack, you gotta go. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, it ain't gonna be. This is my opinion. It ain't gonna be like, hey, Ron, you gotta make a move, or you gotta be out of here. Ron gotta be like, oh, I gotta save my butt. Jack, you gotta go.
But if he was good, if he was that way, he should have done it after Thursday night. Honestly, this is where I disagree with you. I think by not doing that after the Bears game, it's now a case of, like, maybe if they win, it's not going to matter. But if they give up 31 or 35 points today, then Ron and JDR might both have to go, because I feel like
both. Okay.
The only way to get rid of Jack is to get rid of Ron too. Which even if they win 41-38 or it's something crazy like that, out of here. I mean, seriously, the Falcons are a decent team and they got weapons, but the quarterback hasn't been that good, and we shouldn't be giving up 30-plus points to the Falcons today. And if that happens, and if Ron's not going to do it, then Ron and Jack both got to go together.
Right. And you haven't won a turnover battle in 3 weeks, right? We haven't caused the turnover battle. I haven't had anybody turn the ball over. I think George, you brought a good point. If he didn't go within this 10-day period, then both of them do need to go, because it is right now, this defense is not living up to their expectation. And either the defensive coach is not making them do that, or Ron is not holding them accountable. If we're really honest, Jack should have went last year, but they started to roll a little bit. Yeah. And nobody wanted to pull the trigger, and because of management or whatever case may be. But we all know that Jack needed to go last year.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I think he definitely last year. You know what I'm saying? So he should have been last year. But I do think let me phrase this question. If it's between those two, then who you feel is more on the hot seat, Ron or Jack? Then if things don't go their way today,
Ron, because
Ron?
I say Ron because you have Eric Bieniemy who can step into Ron's spot. You don't have only thing that you can do with Jack if you release Jack today is make Ron a defensive coordinator and let Eric Bieniemy run the offense by himself.
Yeah, I'm with him. EB's the coach. I wouldn't be mad at either. I ain't gonna lie to you. I wouldn't be mad at all. I wouldn't be mad at all.
It's a perfect proving ground. You know, okay, we're going to give you 12 games to prove that you can be the coach permanently.
That's true. That's true. Like you got time. You got time to show yourself. That's true. That's a good point. Like Sam Howell should have had time last year. No, I mean you're right. That's true. That's true. Very good point. All right. So last week we mentioned last week the Bears. Well, last week the Bears won the toss and they wanted to receive the ball first, and that's kind of different, right? Nowadays teams defer. So on that drive they scored a touchdown, which was insulting. They scored ASAP. All right. So which, in terms of you all, we mentioned this in the rundown. Which unit for the Commanders do you want to see on the field first, the offense or the defense?
I want to see the defense because, as I mentioned, I think on the podcast, and I mentioned in the post game last week, that this defense, except for the Arizona Cardinals, every team has scored on them on the first possession. So if things have changed over these last 10 days, the defense need to get a stop against Atlanta and not let them drive down the field, get a field goal or a touchdown. So I want to see the defense first.
I remember when we were talking about this before, I was like, man, I don't know what would happen to the defensive psyche if we didn't defer because we do it every time. I now don't give a damn about that. I want this offense on the field first. I want them going down the field and scoring a touchdown because I think it's like you say, Wole, we need to put the other team on the back foot for once.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had a fast start in Philadelphia and then gave it back and ultimately lost. But we're always playing from behind early in these games and putting that pressure on us. Let's not only show some confidence in this offense. EB's got a game script because he's an Andy Reid guy. He's got something nice dialed up for the first drive. And if we go down there and score, just how confident is everybody going to be on that sideline? Plus, you get our fans in the game down in Atlanta because there's a lot of them. Take their crowd out of it right away. At this point, I'm in the rare position of saying I want to see the offense first now. I don't care if they get the ball first and second half.
Yeah, I want to get the ball first. I think I'm going to go back to old school. Like I feel like they need to start fast to set the tone, right? Like what happened with the Eagles. Even though the Eagles won the toss and they deferred, but Washington scored the touchdown, right? I think they need to try to, because Atlanta got one of the better defense in the NFL. I know a lot of people want to talk about like the sacks thing, but they do got one of the better defenses. They fly to it's wild because I watched them play because I just sit back watching them play. I think this is the game they lost actually. They played Jacksonville and they played them in London, and I was like watching them. I was like, yo, they fly to the ball. Like I told Ray, I texted because Ray's an Atlanta fan. I was like, Ray, your defense is solid. Like they play the way I want Washington to play. Like they fly to the ball. Like, and it's crazy because even saying that, I was watching the Commanders on the Commanders YouTube show with Santana Moss, Logan Paulson, and also Fred Smoot. And that's the first thing, like Santana and Smoot said, they fly to the ball. And I was like, okay, I'm not blind. This is what their defense does. So to me, I think that if you put that defense behind the chain and like have them like behind, and that offense, obviously, because they like to run the football, if you can just score first and force that offense to get out of that running mentality, right? Ball control running mentality, then you're going to force a lot of it. So I feel like you start fast, score a touchdown. Now you're going to have to force Desmond Ridder to like throw the football, drop back and throw the football. And gives opportunities for that pass rush to get home, and also gives opportunities for that secondary to get some picks. So I feel like if you can start fast and have Atlanta behind the chains, go for it. So if you got to get the ball first. I'm all for that. Like I think that's essential. Like I feel like Jack and Ron got to change what they do. Jack and Ron got to change what they do. You know what I'm saying? Like what's the definition of insanity? If you keep doing the same thing, hoping for a different result, you're insane. Right? You're insane, right? So
and the point, and you know what, Wole, that leads to another point. These guys know that their chances of keeping their jobs are not high. So if you're still engaged, if you still really care, you're going to throw the kitchen sink at it. You're going to try everything. And if they come out here and they let the other teams get the ball first, and they go right down and score, and Ron's just sitting there like this, then you then as an owner, you should know they're done. They're checked out. Stick a fork in them. And at that point, you've got to make a change. I mean, show me that you're still willing to fight for this job, even if you got no chance of keeping it. Show me you're still willing to fight for this job by, as you say, trying something different, because what you've been trying doesn't work.
True. No, I'm with you, George. Totally with you. All right, so let's get into it, man. And I'm gonna start with you, George. You fired up. I love it. I love the energy, my man. So, what are some of the keys to a Commanders victory?
I think for me, we know how much trouble they've had with the tight end and the running back out of the backfield. And you look at Atlanta's stats, and it's just striking. You're tied for the lead with 21 receptions is who? A tight end, Jonnu Smith, and a running back, Bijan Robinson. And the next highest number is 18 receptions, another tight end, Kyle Pitts. So whether it's putting corners on him, which is something I saw somebody else mention on another show, putting like St. Jude on Pitts or Jonnu Smith. That's
not bad.
Whether it's whatever we're going to do with these linebackers, whatever it is, we've got to find a way to contain those Bijan Robinson out of the backfield because he's lethal, and everybody saw that touchdown catch.
Oh man,
where he literally held the ball almost against his rear end and still held on to it. And these tight ends, we've got to try to contain them. We're not going to stop them, but just contain them enough.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Glenn, your keys, my man.
Keys to victory also run football, control the clock. All right. Get ahead of stick, get score. All right. Mm-hmm. And I said, you said it earlier. If they score, that makes Atlanta do something they don't like to do, which is throw the football. Right. Get ahead, get up on Atlanta. Another thing is add pressure, right? Give Forbes some help if he's not benched. Give him some help, right? On some of these receivers, whether it's safety help over top, whether it's linebacker help underneath, get him some help in this case because you can't. Again, he will be targeted today. Let's be honest. Yeah. Right? Everybody's going to target him from here on out.
If he's in,
to see if the young man has developed, right? Get him some help. Also, we got to be able to stop and get off the field. I've always said this every week. Get off the field on third down, right? Get off the field on third down. Don't allow them to pick up 3rd and 8s and 3rd and 9s and extend drives. Get off the field. Give your offense good field position. And again, let's see if we today can get a 100-yard rusher. All right, let's see if we get a 100-yard rusher today and get into the end zone. Brian Robinson is that guy. If you ever watch Brian Robinson run, I like the running backs. He is a true running back. We have a good running back. So let's develop the running game. I know I got to get ready to hop off, but I want to give you my picks real quick.
Looking for it, bro.
Prediction for the day. I think Washington will win 27-13. 27-13 Washington. I think they will get it done. I think defense will step up a little bit today because those guys, that front line, the Alabama guys, the Montez Sweats and those guys about it. I think they're taking pride. They hear the noise. They hear what everyone is saying. I think they actually like Jack, but I think they're going to rise to the occasion today against around this Atlanta team and get the W. So, hey, I'll catch you guys on the post game. Appreciate you, man.
All right, appreciate you, man. Thanks, Glenn. Appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir.
So, all right. So for me, my keys are like running football is important, but I'm gonna say balance. Like balance. Like I want to see what we did against the Eagles because sometimes, running the football is cool, but balance. You don't want to be one dimensional. So be balanced in that, right? And but I think to counter. I think EB will be balanced if this team doesn't put them in the hole. So I feel like that's important. Balance is definitely important. Starting fast, I mentioned it. Like I think you have to, you're on the road. You start fast. You take the fans out. You take their fans away, and then like we mentioned, there's a lot of Commander fans out there. So then you now engulf them into the game, right? So if you start fast, then you start fast, and then you got the Atlanta fans silent, and you got the Washington fans loud. Then the players and on the Atlanta side are going to kind of be freaked out by that, right? So I think that's very important. Like start fast. Like that's essential. They start fast, they'll be fine. It is what it is. Like it's the defense. The key to me is like get pressure, get legitimate pressure, and what you done. You can step in like you've been doing, be okay. Like that. I know I kind of like George. Did I lose you?
Yeah, no, you froze on me for a little bit. I could hear you, but you were going in and out.
Yeah.
You're still going in and out a little bit, Wole.
All right.
I want to kind of build on what you're talking about in this regard too.
Right.
Number one, I hope to God Glenn's prediction is right because that would be the most complete victory Washington's had this year. If they win like that, 27-13, that means the defense will have played well, the offense will have played well, special teams will have probably made a few good plays for us. I hope that's what we need is we've so rarely in this era had a complete victory that's a big issue. I want to build on what you're saying about balance too. Atlanta, at least the last few years, they haven't been that great stopping the run, but they've been great at getting after the quarterback. So you've got to put these defensive linemen on their heels by running the football, by smashing it up there. This really is a Brian Robinson game today.
I agree.
I think Glenn's absolutely spot on about this. This is a Brian Robinson game where he can really punish some people because they don't have their linebackers are they're not the biggest in the world either. They don't have big. They got kind of small linebackers. Really smack them. Really smack them with Brian Robinson, especially out of the backfield, and kind of see if we can get them on skates a little bit. I'm thinking like a couple Samuel runs too, because that's we've been having some profit with that lately. Try to get these guys on their heels, maybe leaning the wrong way and catch them. And again, I think Eric Bieniemy sees that too, and he's got something really nice to cook for it, which is why I want us to have the ball first.
Yeah, I was breaking up. But I agree with you. Totally agree with you. I think that's one of the keys to run the football. So let's go into. I'll give you my prediction in terms of score. I actually have Atlanta winning. This is wild. I have Atlanta winning. Because this is how it is. Like I'm not going to be a homer. I'm this type of person. I need you to show me something different before I start to rock with you. I don't like to give you charity because you're my team or I root for you, whatever. Like this is what it is. Like show me something different. You know what I mean? Like defense, show me something, make me a believer again. Because I was bullish on this squad when the season started. You know this, but make me a believer again. Like I'm not going to do no blind loyalty here. I'm not doing this. Just make me a believer. So for me, the prediction is because I believe the defense can still, the offense can score. It's a good. It's a good Atlanta defense. But I think this team scores. Atlanta scores in the 30s. You know what I'm saying? So and Washington is a little bit slightly short. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna say Atlanta 34, Washington 31. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Because you guys show me something different.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
My prediction's real close to yours, and it's more in hope than expectation that I predict this. 31 Washington, Atlanta 27. So and 1/4 Washington forces a fourth quarter turnover to win the game.
Okay, all right. So
that's what I'm going with is. I think they've only forced 4 turnovers the whole season, and 2 of them were in that fourth quarter of the season in Washington against Arizona. So they haven't been doing it, but I feel like a fourth quarter turnover and Washington wins 31-27, which again, very close to your prediction. I've only got 1 touchdown less for Atlanta. But again, it's more in hope than expectation.
Okay,
you can't expect anything from this team because that's what they've been. That's what they've been doing to us all year. I mean. We all thought they were going to beat the Bears. Look how terrible the Bears were and what happened.
Exactly. George said, I hope we don't give up 50 points. I got Atlanta winning too.
It's understandable.
It's understandable, man. Like, just you got to show us something different. You show us something different. The next week, this is going to change. You show me that you're a better team defensively. I'm not going to say offensively. You show me you're a better team defensively. I'm going to rock with you. But if you don't, then it is what it is. You won't have me keep picking another squad. It's going to have me picking the opposition. You know what I'm saying? Because I trust EB and I trust this offense. But it's hard when your defense keeps giving up. Not just the way you're giving. It's not that you're giving up points. It's the way you're giving up points. You know what I mean? It's the way how you're doing it. Like it's not even like teams are methodically going down the field. They're getting explosive plays easy. It's like they playing Madden 95, like the easy Madden. This ain't even new age Madden. This is easy Madden. Like you can run one play and that's it. Like there's no change up. You run the same play over and over again. Like this is something different. So hey George, what would be your fantasy player for the Commanders? Like what would be your play? Would it be Brian Robinson?
Well,
I'm guessing.
Actually, for me, the one that's come to mind is Terry McLaurin. I think he's good. I think we're going to see a big game from Terry McLaurin too. I think. He kind of showed it in the Philadelphia game, but he always cooks Philadelphia. I think Terry McLaurin comes up with a big game for us today. I could see 110 and a touchdown for Terry McLaurin.
For me, it would be Brian Robinson. Maybe Brian Robinson Jr. I just think that I agree with everything. I think that this team against the pass, Atlanta is tough against the pass, and the running game is something you're gonna have to lean on. That's why I think that like if you win the toss, you gotta get the ball first and you gotta get him rolling. You can't risk what happened last week. You can't risk it. You just gotta get started. So it helps you out. So if you win the toss, you get the ball first, and then you can utilize that weapon. You know what I'm saying? Like give yourself the opportunity to utilize that weapon. So to me, I think Brian Robinson's the individual who can get like 2 touchdowns and give you for Glenn, give you close to 100 yards, like 100 yards. I know Glenn needs that 100 yard number. And also, you know, to me, the screen game's important. My man George said, Brian. He said George said Samuel should have a big game. So I agree. I think Samuel should have a big game. I think he's a guy too that can be utilized in terms of gadget plays or whatever. And he's actually had a decent year. I think shout out to Curtis Samuel. I was hard on him initially when his team signed him. I was like, why are you getting Curtis Samuel? But he's been a good. This year has been a good year. It's going to be interesting, you know, after because his contract is I call it releasable, because he has that big number coming up, but. He's actually been really good for this team and an Eric Bieniemy offense this season. So totally agree. So if any folks we about to end the show, anybody got any more comments out there? Throw out some comments. You know what I'm saying? Throw them out. We here for it. But yeah, hopefully this Commanders team wins. We out here in the A. You know what I mean? DMV, I showed up. I mean, hopefully this team, you know, represents correctly because they don't. I'm with George. I'm with Glenn. Ron may be out. You know what I mean? But I think in terms of survivor mode, I'm actually thinking that Jack will be out before Ron. You know what I'm saying? Because I think Jack will be out before Ron.
It should have already happened, but maybe you're right.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, exactly. Hey, like Glenn mentioned, don't forget to tune into our post-game show directly after the game. We'll be on YouTube, Facebook, and X Live. That'll be a Glenn and George. I'll be in for this one, but I had to make sure I did the pregame, you know, rep with my fam and whatnot. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Just search all Burgundy and Gold Everything. Also, Twitter's at ABG_everything, and hit us up on IG at ABG_everything. And like our all Burgundy and Gold Everything Facebook. Yeah. Appreciate everybody. We fired for tuning in. I know I lost that. Yeah, did I jump out again, George?
You did, but that's all right.
I gave it all right, cool. Like I'm telling this hotel connection, man, it's real. Let me just give me a sign. Say, hey, you're out. Anyway, you've been listening to All Burgundy and Go Everything, powered by the Urban Sports Scene and Fox Sports Radio, 96.9 FM and 1340 AM, Hopewell, Virginia, for ages. Hey, Yeti, deuces, come on, Commanders, let's get this W. We need it. We out.